This fella is making news at the club where he's at, and he's Jarrod Bowen. I don't think there's a West Ham fan in the land who can't say that Jarrod Bowen has been nothing short of sensational since he joined West Ham United from Hull. So the question this morning, Simon, is Jarrod Bowen, World Cup year, is he fashionable enough for England?
That should be the question, should it? Should be, is he good enough for England?
Is he good enough? But is he the sort of player that will make a difference to push himself into the England scene and do a job when a job needs to be done for Gareth Southgate at a World Cup finals?
Why would there be a question that he's not? I mean, he's operating in the side that's in the top four in the league. He's operating at a high level. Ironically, I went to watch him a couple of years ago at Christmas when I was down at Hull seeing Michelle's family and watched him in a game against Nottingham Forest. And I didn't think
you get in?
I got in that time, yeah. I didn't think he was very good. And I didn't rate him, and I was surprised about all the furore. So there you go. It shows what I've never put me scouting. But the player is doing well. You know, is he an international class player? The question could be asked about a lot of players. You know, we build certain players up, a.k.a. Marcus Rashford. The question for me is he an international class player? Very good player. Is he an international class player? And it depends what you mean by international class. But Bowen's got to be, if you're picking teams, which Gareth Southgate says he picks on form, he contradicts himself because there's a loyalty factor there when he picks people that aren't in form and because he believes that they've done a job for him previously. And there's a balance between the two. But I think there has to be a place in the next... When is the next setup? When is the next set of international games? Are we imminently facing some?
Oh, March time.
So if he continues with this vein of form, he has to be in the squad.
It's got to be considered.
He's got to be looked at. Now, whether he's a good enough player on an international stage, you'll only know once you put him there.
Yeah.
Because and I was going to say if he plays with better players, but the fact is he's playing with pretty good players already, and West Ham are doing a pretty good job.
True.
But if he plays with a team with other players internationally that would make up arguably the best players in his country, then you would like to see that he maybe goes on to even another gear. But
you know what I mean about the fashionability type thing? Does he have the...
Well, okay. Does he have the vavoom? Does he have the vavoom? Right.
That's it.
So you look at it and say, well, who in his position has that then? Who, where he plays, would be more compelling for Gareth Southgate to suggest I must have them in that position?
See, people are joining the debate right now. Grealish shouldn't be in the picture now because he's had such a poor season in his first season with Manchester City.
He's not had a poor season. He's had an average
Bowen's
season.
having a brilliant season, so surely he's got to be in the picture, says Sam the painter, who's maybe taking time off from painting for a moment.
But the thing is, what you're doing is comparing and contrasting between two different dynamics. You've got Jack Grealish, who's got a very high platform, so his elevation is a much higher level.
Yeah.
And you've got Jarrod Bowen coming from a lower position. Well, it's like getting low cases in COVID and then saying, we've had enormous growth. Yeah, but you start from a very low position.
No, but
it's all about how you look at it.
You've just nailed it. Grealish, when he was at Villa, wasn't in the England picture. Grealish at Manchester City is in the England picture and has been.
Well, Grealish,
fashionability.
Grealish when
Bowen's at West Ham.
Well, Grealish when he was at Aston Villa wasn't in the England picture because Southgate didn't trust him because of some of the things he does off the pitch and on the pitch. You know, he's not always the most responsible at times, and it took him some time to develop a rapport, which he's systematically unwinding with some of his behaviour off the pitch again. But the bottom line is Grealish didn't get an opportunity because I think there was a fundamental disconnect between what Southgate thought he should be like and what he was actually like. Now, Bowen's a different animal. He's not going to have that. But is Bowen at international level a game changer? Is he somebody that you're going to get on the ball and change the game?
I would say yes.
And in this vein of form, the answer is yes.
I would say yes.
I mean, obviously there is a step into the international framework that he has to make, and we see how he acclimatises to that. But he has to be, on the basis of people being picked on form, he has to be in the conversation, and in a grown-up conversation, not in a media conversation, but in a conversation between Southgate, his number two, and whoever else makes the selection decisions, because ultimately you must pick players on form. And on form, Jarrod Bowen gets really seriously in the conversation.
Yeah. I think he's proof, as if it was needed, that you can find the odd jewel in the Championship.
Oh, you can find a lot of jewels in the pyramid. Look down the pyramid. Look over the years. Look at the David Platts, where they came from. Look where the Danny Murphys came from. Look at the James Maddisons. Look at the Jamie Vardys. There's a snobbery about where you've got to buy players from, and then there's robbery that you can buy them from the EFL at discounted prices. So the combination of snobbery and robbery brings little return often for clubs in the EFL. But ultimately, you get a lot of good players, and you can look at players over the years, even Ian Wright came out of a situation where he played a certain level of football, couldn't get an opportunity. It took him a long time. So we mustn't assume that every player must be bought from abroad or every player is developed by a Premier League club. There's really good talent developed, and a lot of it coming out of Championship and EFL football clubs.
Do you think there is a snobbery that exists in terms of buying from the Championship?
I think certainly robbery, because I think they can get it for nothing. But snobbery, yes, I do. I think a lot of foreign owners look at it and have a vantage point about where they think they should be buying players from, or where their chief executives think the best players can be bought from. What players should be bought on is based upon economics and the value that they're getting. Not just, I'm not talking about finances, I'm talking about a player being worth what they're paid and paid what they're worth. And some very good players come from the EFL, and some of the best players come from the EFL, and most of the time the better players have gone down to the EFL to learn their trade. Beckham when he went out to Preston, Harry Kane when he's gone out and played at Millwall and Norwich when they were in the EFL.